Turn my ears down a little bit, Mike. That's better. That's better. That's better.
Tournament talk, SummerSlam, hot new products review, all that and more on this edition of Tackle Shop Live. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Man, we got Don Roeder in the house. Michelle, Renee, how are you doing? Daniel, what do you say, buddy? Eric Current, Joseph. What's up, Joseph? Russell Wright.
Loading up here.
James Hawk, yeah. Got a great room of guys.
Loading up.
Danny Poust, how you doing, buddy? Man. Roland Barker, how you doing, Roland? Always nice to see you, pal. Oh, good, yeah.
Shay's checking in from the highway.
Jason Shea checking in on 72. I tried to get Jason to stay tonight, but and do a little bit of show with us, but we decided last minute to switch it to June 2nd. So June 2nd, Thursday, June 2nd, Jason Shea is going to be on. We're going to do just a everything kind of river sum up of what's been going on all year and different techniques and talk about river fishing with Jason Shea, one of our pro staffers and an excellent guide up on the river. So that's going to be June 2nd. Mark your calendars for that one. So we got that nailed down.
Sorry, I was texting. Did you say something?
No. Dave Goss, how you doing? So we got a great show for you tonight. It's we're kind of winging it. No Corbin tonight. Corbin, if you're listening, I hope you guys have a good time fishing down there. He's getting ready for fishing the SummerSlam tournament coming up. So him and Ben Hunter.
Ben the Buck Hunter.
Ben the Buck Hunter. Him and Ben the Buck Hunter are down there.
Today he's Ben the Bass Hunter.
Yeah, today's Ben the Bass Hunter. So they're down there running around, trying to get some stuff together.
Ought to be a busy weekend on the main bay.
Gonna be busy. We got the big BFL. Nick, you're fishing the BFL, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
You were down all day today practicing.
Yeah, I was down there today. Caught some fish.
Yeah,
we got
figure it out.
We got the BFL on Saturday.
Yeah,
we got the SummerSlam on Sunday.
Yeah,
and the stripers are on fire.
Oh,
so we got the PA Navy down there slaughtering stripers.
And they are. They're whacking stripers down there. So
it's springtime. The fishing's great.
Yep.
The weather's awesome.
Yep.
And everybody's fishing. So,
yeah, Russell, right? No, we don't have any Vanfords in stock. Matter of fact, we're kind of cleaned out of some of the reels, but we had some meetings with some reel companies here, and we are going to get reloaded. It's not going to take long. We're going to get some stuff. I know there was a lot of guys that ordered some reels for the SummerSlam that we back ordered, but it's only going to be a week or two till you see them, because they're going to be rolling in anytime soon here. We're thinking the first part of June.
Yeah, normally like the first week or week and a half of every month we get a pretty decent chunk. So be ready, and that goes from several manufacturers. I mean, obviously we're talking about the Vanford and the Shimano guys and the G Loomises and all that.
Yeah.
But we also usually get hit about that same time frame from the Daiwa guys.
Daiwa hooks us up well too. So it's,
everything's sort of set up monthly, so to speak. So
yeah. So we're hooked up with Shimano. We're
getting close.
We had the national sales manager here today and had some great meetings with them. Of course, Chris Beeler was back, who was on our show last week, and he's riding around the eastern part of the country with the national sales manager, and they're checking up on us and reassured us of product. So we're hooked up well with those guys.
Looking good.
So we should be looking good with that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is SummerSlam. We got a couple announcements we got to make on that. I know there's some a lot of people that are listening that are going to be fishing the tournament. SummerSlam is loading up, ladies and gentlemen. We are, I think, at 112 already. I know we're going to get a couple of more. I think there's a couple more on already. So I think this is going to be the biggest year ever for the SummerSlam.
Are we going to hit 500?
I'm not going to hit 500, but we are definitely going to be in the 120s, maybe possibly a 130. I don't know. We might get the 130.
Pump the brake. Hey, hit the brake.
I'm putting it out there. Listen, it's a great tournament. Everybody, most everybody knows because we announce it every week. But for you new listeners that haven't heard, it's our annual tournament we do where the entry fee is a purchase of $250 of Shimano, Jackal, G Loomis, Power Pro. Any mixture of combination of any product that we stock in the shop here, you can purchase online through the online store or in the shop here, equaling $250 per boat. That's not per person, that's per boat. So you and your partner can split it up. And essentially, you can fish a tournament. And at the end of the day, if say you have a really crappy day, like most of my tournament days, and you don't do good at all, guess what? You won $250 worth of tackle. You come home with your tackle. It's yours. It's not $250 wasted money out the window. You got $250 worth of tackle. We have a lot of guys who just wanted to pay us $250. And I can't quite understand that. I honestly can't quite understand that. But there was guys that wanted to pay us the $250. And I was like, no, you got to buy some Shimano. We you know what I think? I think they were like quantum guys. You know what I'm saying?
It's possible.
Because you put them on a Shimano, that'll bring them over to the dark side, man. They wouldn't be able to handle it, so they were scared.
Well, they were
scared to go Shimano.
It's a different buy-in format. It's a different format than any tournament that you're conditioned to fishing, and it's because this is kind of like a specialty event. It's one of our signature events.
Yeah,
and we'd like to do things just a little bit different. So we're gonna have a big time. On the Chesapeake Bay out of Anchor Marine this Sunday. We are going to blast off boat number 1 promptly at 6 a.m.
That's what we're shooting for.
6 a.m. Boat number 1 is heading down the main river. We're going to run
before you get ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Before you get ahead of that, we're going to be the tent's going to be set up at 4 a.m. So we're going to be ready for registration at 4 a.m. You must come up and sign your application. If you did not sign your application, you must come up and sign your application, and then you're going to draw your number. So if you did sign your application, you don't need to come up. One of the guys from the boat needs to come up and pull the number. That's how we're drawing. You're going to pull a number in the morning, and then we're going to make sure you guys get in the lunker pot and the optional pot at that time tomorrow on Sunday morning. So that's when you're going to do all that. So don't just put the boat in water, sit out there and hope for the best. Come up, draw a number, get yourself your lunker paid and your optional pot paid, and then we're going to start. And we're going to go in at least 4 flights.
6
flights.
6 flights. At least 5, probably 6. The way these applications are coming in, we're going to run 10-minute flights. First boat's going to go out at 6 a.m. 6 flights, 10-minute flights.
10 minutes between each flight.
10 minutes between each flight. That's just to kind of delay the congestion at weigh-in. You just can't bring 125 boats back to the dock at one time. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I mean, we only put out 10 weigh-in bags at a time. So you can't use your bag. You have to use our bag. We only put out 10 bags. We have the New Jersey Bass Federation Nation coming to do our weigh-in. They have really high quality aerated tanks. We put ice in the tanks to reduce the surface temperature water. We take very good care of the fish.
Weigh-in will be out of your boat in the water. You're not.
Yeah. You don't no trailer. So we'll explain all that in the morning at the captain's meeting.
Yep.
And I just want to take a quick minute, and I just want to and please share this information with your friends that are fishing this event that may not get a chance to see us live tonight and may not.
We're going to post this on Facebook tomorrow
and may not watch, our Facebook post or our YouTube post because they're busy.
Everybody watches it.
I know, but they may not see it before Sunday.
Okay.
So please share some of this information, and we'll go over it all again at the captain's meeting Sunday morning. But the Maryland DNR has asked us to put 2 areas of the bay off limits. This is directly from the Maryland DNR. I believe they did the same exact thing with the BFL this weekend.
And the Chester County last weekend.
Okay, so the bigger tournaments, they don't want anybody going down there and bringing fish back from Gunpowder or the Middle River. So to get real technical with you, if you look at a map of the Gunpowder or if you look at your Navionics chip on your unit, you'll see Maxwell Point on one side of the Gunpowder. You'll see Battery Point on the other side of the Gunpowder. It's basically at the mouth of the Gunpowder. Draw a line. Do not go past that line. Same thing at Middle River. If you're over at Middle River, if you look at your map or your Navionics on your GPS, you will see Sioux Island Point to Log Point, which is basically, again,
the mouth.
Draw a line. Don't go in there. And the reason they're doing this is they are having a virus outbreak down there in the bass. And it's not good. It's also it can affect humans. So they don't want you handling these fish. So they don't want you transporting them and moving the virus somewhere else. So
I think it's good for everybody. It's good for.
It's a good call.
It's good call.
Good call, Maryland DNR. And they're out. They are out in Mike. They're out in shock boats.
Yeah, they're
all over the bay.
Yeah,
and they're up in Haverty Gray shocking.
Yeah,
they're testing fish. They're trying to stay on top of this. Now, along with this, we're also going to stress fish care. It's 90-something degrees all week. The water temperature is not up there yet, but it's going. So you put these fish in your live well. When you get these sudden temperature spikes, it can stress them. Please, please, please bring and use ice.
No Seneca Creek.
I don't want to get into this on the Facebook tonight because I'm not going to get a map.
Just don't go down there.
Don't go to those 2 places that we just told you.
Don't go down there. Don't fish it. Don't go down there.
If the places that you want to go are not those 2 places, then you can go there. But don't go to these 2 places because this is the Maryland DNR specifically asked us to highlight this.
I don't even know why you want to go down there and spread that freaking any kind of disease because Seneca's right there next to Gunpowder and Middle River. So why would you want to
whatever? I'm just saying don't go to those 2 places.
No Seneca.
So no.
Huh?
How?
What?
I don't think you should be sitting here telling people not to go here and there.
How about we put off the limits the whole damn right side of the thing all the way down to Baltimore?
Oh man, this is getting out of control now. This is really getting out of control.
All the way down to Baltimore. Don't go.
All right. Just ignore what Mike's saying because
you can go to the back river though.
Just ignore all that, and I'm trying to keep this to where it's like not getting misconstrued by anybody.
It's not misconstrued.
Don't go to those 2 rivers.
People understand what you're saying.
Okay,
I'm just joking around.
That's cool, but
you calm down.
That might not be a good thing to joke about.
Hey,
see how many emails you get tomorrow.
What?
15-inch limit, 5 fish. And can't wait. See you all Sunday morning. Registration opens at 4 a.m.
Daniel, we have 112 boats pre-registered right now. We're probably going to have 120 something. Hoping. Anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to go smooth. Don't worry about it. Everybody, this is our laid-back tournament. There's no pressure on anybody. Just get in the water. Come on up and see us. Get your number. Jump in your boat. Go out and have a good day. That's what it's all about. You're going to go fishing. You're going to go have a good day. And you're going. Guess what? You're going to catch a boatload of fish because this is the weekend. It's going to bust loose down there. I feel it.
Yeah.
So that was the Summer Slam tournament. Covered pretty good. So if you do have questions, you can ask us in the morning, Sunday morning, and we will stipulate that. But as of right now, you can go back through the thing here and you can listen to what George said. Just follow his rules. That's the way it is. That's what everybody's doing. So there you have it. And now we're going to move on to tournament talk.
Yeah. That's some good tournament talk music.
Love tournament talk.
Well, we need this kind of music.
Love me some tournament talk. Damn.
Well, you know I do. I'm a
man. We've been tournament talking it up
junkie.
Last week. After
y'all got some more of that tournament talk.
Yeah. Well, last week on Thursday we got into some of the tournaments, and there was some great stuff going on, and there was some great stuff taken away from that. So they finished up Major League Fishing. I know you're going to talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And then today was the first day of the Elite Series down on Sam Rayburn.
No.
Gunnersville.
It's one of them. Gunnersville.
Yeah.
One of the big three.
Somewhere's in the southern half of the
country.
So
we got some stuff going on in that. So what you got here, George? Talk to us.
Well, last week we very, very, very briefly touched on the MLF Pro Circuit, which was on Lake Eufaula, Alabama, which is just one of these bucket list hog factories. And what's interesting about May, that part of the world, the spawn is pretty much over, not 100%, but because they probably spawn every month of the year down there, but it's like 98% over. And in May on Eufaula, at some point in time, two things happen. The shad start to spawn and a ton of fish start to migrate offshore, and they get on the famous brush piles and ledges, creek channel ledges and river ledges and bends and points and whatnot, humps, different structural elements. And the locals got them juiced up with like 1 million brush piles. So it's
love that.
It's like you're going to go to Eufaula in May. It's going to be a Mega 360, a Panoptix, a 6XD, a 10-inch worm, a 3/4 ounce football jig, a 6-inch swim bait, kind of an offshore deal. Nope, not even a little bit.
Yeah,
it was
crazy,
up close and personal.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting how this stuff goes to me in cycles of like. Last year, we had so many tournaments that were offshore that were dominated by forward-looking sonar and all those presentations that we just mentioned. You remember those, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were like...
Every one.
It was just a string of them.
It was every one.
It was a string of them.
Had us so crazy, we went and bought 2 Panoptix and put them on the frickin' 2 boats. I mean, really, it did. That's how much...
Well, it makes you want to learn.
Yeah.
Makes you want to learn. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Now here we are with all these events that should be offshore and they're not. Some people are, like, for example, I made a note here of Trevor Fitzgerald, who is the owner of Fitzgerald Rods, for which we are a dealer.
A dealer.
We do sell the Fitzgerald rods.
And we sell the baddest ass swim jig rod from them.
We do have the Brian Schmidt Fitzgerald swim jig rod, and they got this guy on their pro staff. His name is Brian Thrift. You may have heard of him.
Badass.
He's got a whole series of rods. If you've ever seen the front deck of his boat during a tournament, you want to talk about like OCD. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but Brian Thrift, the front deck of his boat always has like 7 to 10 rods on each side of the deck. And every one of them is perfectly laid out. The bait casters are lined up. None of them overlap. The handles are all straight up in the air. And
love that picture. They show that all the time.
That's because he's psychotic about this. And his fishing style is extremely high-paced, you know, a cross between Kevin Van Dam and Red Bull. And he's a jig skipping machine.
Yeah.
And he knows more about fish than the fish do.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing.
Yeah.
He's got to have like these quirks, like these.
Yeah.
Like he's like the show Monk and Rain Man all wrapped up into one.
Didn't you say him and that Brian New guy fished together?
Him and Brian New practiced together and traveled together for years.
Yeah, and what was that one thing they did?
It's actually rumored
they went out and practiced for 24 hours.
It's actually rumored that Brian Thrift and Brian New in the early days practiced a particular event for 24 straight hours.
It never stops.
And then rolled right into the event.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to bring up about Thrift before we get back on some of this interesting information, which somehow we spun off of on the Trevor Fitzgerald comment. Every night, he strips every reel and relines them. Because possibly...
God, I hate that.
Possibly, maybe, possibly, there's a slight chance that a nick occurred on one of those reels. Even though they're all meticulously
stacked up and lined up perfectly.
And so,
man, I hate changing lines.
My hat is off to Brian Thrift. He is definitely one of the greatest bass minds and tacticians of our time. And I personally, I'm telling you, if you study this guy,
he's a hammer.
You will change your game.
Yeah,
he is awesome.
Like watching him.
He is awesome. But getting back to Trevor Fitzgerald, which is how we got on this tangent, he was one of the 2 out of the top 10 guys that fished offshore. He didn't fish deep, mind you. He just fished brush piles offshore. So he was fishing mostly brush piles. He was using the forward-seeking Panoptix. He lined these brush piles up very carefully with his Garmin unit and was able to present his bait on there. And these Garmin Panoptix are so specific. Like if you have it on your trolling motor shaft, like if you have your transducer faced like a little bit cantered out to the right or a little bit cantered into the left, it changes the way it's like some of these guys are so dialed in, they don't have it looking perfectly straight ahead. They have it looking over here because it's the way they want when they're going in a straight line, they want it to look slightly to the right. I mean, it's really getting to the point where it's super, super specific. I want them squared up and plumbed up. So when my prop, my trolling motor bullet's pointing, wherever my trolling motor bullet's pointing, I know my Panoptix transducer is just off to the right of that, but it's parallel to that. So I can kind of, because you're looking out there in the abyss trying to figure out where your pointer's pointing. So he was really good with his Panoptix. He was throwing, and here's the other thing I love about this. Strike King must have they must have their name on every major school institution of learning in America. Like they must be sponsoring wings on libraries and hospitals, because that's how many 6XDs they must have sold. Because every one of these guys fishes a 6XD. He was cranking a 6XD. He was jerk baiting. And he was dragging a big 7.5 inch Reaction Innovation machete worm. Machete, which is a swimtail worm. And he was also dragging a football jig with a Kitech swim bait on it. So that's how he attacked. He was one of the 2 out of the 10 that fished the brush piles. So the winner was Jason Abram of that event. And what I learned there was not only was he focused on a shad spawn, but when it ended, he concentrated on shade on a piece of wood that had current hitting it. Piece of wood, shade that had current hitting it. He had 20 some odd spots like this over 18 to 20 mile stretch of river. And he ran them all 5 times a day.
Does he live down there?
He does, but not on that lake.
Is that his home lake?
No.
Probably fished it a lot, though.
I'm sure he has. But he fished a, and if you,
then the shade changes from one side to the other, so you got to know what time it is and how the bend of the creek is.
And if you saw how this guy fished, plus the current draw was more in the afternoon. The dam cranked up a little more in the afternoon, which he knew that. But if you saw the way this guy fished a swim jig, it's like no one you have ever seen fish a swim jig. He took a 7.6 medium heavy Daiwa Tatula flipping stick, the silver thing. Or it might have been the cork handle Tatula. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was 7.5 foot flipping stick. He put a Shimano SLX 8-to-1 reel on it, 20-pound Sunline FC Sniper, and a homemade 5/8 ounce white jig. And then he's a Reaction Innovations pro, so he used their Spicy Beaver, which is like it's the Sweet Beaver that has the Rage Crawl type flippers on it,
right?
The Rage Structure Bug type flippers.
No side.
Yeah, and he didn't just cast it out and swim it like they do the old Alabama shake, and they do the old swim. He would, and first of all, he pitched, and he was a tactician. He was a tactician with this flipping stick, and he pitched that bad boy up in there tight, perfect. And then he would take two hands on the rod, and he would just work that jig, and then let it sink. I mean, it was like the jig was hovering, and it had a wide head on it. It was catching the current. And I mean,
what jig was he using?
He was using a homemade.
Oh, homemade jig.
But here's the interesting thing that I got from it. Not only was he prolonging the shad spawn, and totally all in on the swim jig, and a totally unique retrieve. But here's the cool thing that I got from it, and it's something that I know from my own tournament fishing career. Tournaments, I'm talking just tournaments here. Knowing that you're going to get X number of bites in 8 hours. And, he knew he wasn't going to catch a ton of fish, but he knew if he kept, true to the course, that he was going to get his 6 or 7 or 8 bites and cull a couple fish, whatever the case may be, and just chip away at it over the course of 4 days, and he had a shot. So it's like there's that's part of that mental aspect of tournament fishing. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Oh, I got
it. You kind of like you get your game plan.
Yeah.
And your game plan might not be the I'm catching the most fish game plan. Like all these boats are over here in the grass catching like
I think all tournament people have a game plan.
Right. But knowing it.
Yeah, understanding and knowing your game plan, and some of them really know it well, and it's just beautiful when it comes together. When you can run it and you can do it, and it's working out the way that you. And
he did it, man.
Mentally visualized it, right?
Yeah, and he did
it.
And what's cool?
Awesome.
What's cool about this?
I'm taking it to the next level.
This is a 5-fish tournament. This is not the BPT where it's every fish.
Oh,
so this is even though they own the circuit, this is the former FLW tour. Now it's called the Pro Circuit. This is a 5-fish limit. So what's cool about this is, certain number of people at the end of the year will qualify for the Bass Pro Tour. And what's also cool about this is the highest points finisher, and don't quote me on this exactly. I think it's like
the Opens then? Like
no,
the Opens?
No, it's not. No. It's above that.
Oh, okay.
But the highest 3 or 4 finishers and points averages, I don't know how it is, for each tournament gets invited to the following Bass Pro tournament. So now, Jason Abram and whoever else will be going to the Bass Pro Tour tournament, which our next stop is on the Thousand Islands. So that was kind of like pretty interesting.
James Hawk has a question here about do you think Panoptix and that type of technology is going to get out of hand to a point where that it becomes out of hand. And I think that eventually, yes, we're going to get to that point where I think you're going to see restrictions of some sort coming, because this technology is just going to advance and advance and advance to a point where it's not even fishing anymore. Right now, I don't think it's that there yet, but it's definitely getting there. You still gotta, that's why me and George put it on our boats, because we're trying to figure it out, see what it's all about. And it's not a gimme. It's really not a gimme. You got to understand.
Not even close.
You got to understand it. You got to kind of read it and everything. I'm not doing well in mine. I'm trying to figure it out. Just trying to set it up properly. And had power issues. I mean, things are tough to set up. I mean, tough to get everything wired right. And people that have old boats, you got to rewire everything, and it's got to have pure power, man. It's got to have a high end power, and then you got to, just like any graph, you got to know how to operate it. You got to know how to set it up. You got to know how to, and then you got to know what you're looking at. When you're manipulating the unit, you got to kind of know what you're looking at. It's not a gimme.
Kyle puts it well. You have to find them first.
You gotta find the fish first. You still got to find them. But I think at some time and some point, the technology is going to be advanced so far that it's just not right. I don't think we're there yet. I think this is still like Kyle says. I think you still have to find the fish, and you have to go out and do this, and you got to go out and do that. But
this conversation comes up.
It's all the time.
Every time a new form of electronics comes out, and side imaging was the perfect example. Oh my God, it's just, fish don't stand a chance. Well, not really, not so much. I mean, you still have to put the time in, graphing, looking, understanding what you're seeing, which is the hardest part of it.
You got to find the right fish to win.
Interpreting, a lot of interpreting.
Yeah.
And then, 360, well, that was just the next step of side imaging. And, I can tell you from my experience with 360, it's a very helpful tool, and it will show you things out in front of your boat.
Oh, yeah.
Off to the side of your boat.
Oh, yeah. It's big time.
But you still have to know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You still have to interpret it. And Panoptix,
absolutely,
I think, has the biggest learning curve of all. And, if you think you're just going to go out with your Panoptix and spin your trolling motor around and find a fish swimming and throw your lure and watch it sink in front of him, he's going to eat it. Save yourself about $3,500, because that is not going to happen. Yes, you will mark bait. You will mark fish. You will see your lure. It's beautiful for finding grass, telling the hardness of the bottom, kind of just panning around, or if you have a turret system, whatever, panning around and kind of like scanning around. But there's no flags. They're not holding flags up out there. I read a really interesting article the other day on the Garmin Panoptix Facebook page about walleye fishermen who are claiming that on Lake Erie, the schools of walleye move as more and more anglers surround them with Panoptix. They feel the vibe, they feel the sonar, and they leave.
They don't like the pan.
And these guys can say you can actually see a pod of fish move when you point your Panoptix at them.
Yeah.
And that's on Lake Erie, which is like the ocean.
Well, so, my thing is with, at some point down the road is, who knows? I on my jet boat, I took off a 2004, 2003 graph and put on a Panoptix unit with side imaging and down imaging also capable. And when I turned that thing on and I went into this one creek that I know very well, and I turned the side imaging on, I was blown away. I was just like, I've seen side imaging like George's Lowrance units. He has great side imaging, and I've worked with side imaging before. But this freaking thing was like the water just disappeared just with side imaging. And I was like, holy crap, this is really good stuff. The down imaging was amazing. So I mean, I could just see some kind of, and George made fun of me. Everybody kind of made fun of me last time when they were talking about. George was like, "Oh yeah, man, what's his name had on these goggles, and they were."
That was Zaldane.
Yeah, they were graphs in his eyes. He had goggles with graphs on, 10-inch graphs inside of his eyes.
That was his 6 Hummingbird unit.
But I got to thinking about it. I was like, oh, that's heads-up imaging, like jet fighters have. They have heads-up imaging where wherever they look, they're wearing this thing that it gives you all this data, and all this data is coming across your face. I mean, who knows where this is going to go? I honestly see it coming to a point where there is something that they're just going to say, this is too much. It's coming. I don't know when it's going to happen, but there is something definitely coming that's going to say, man, whoa, this is out of control. This is not fishing anymore. You can go down there at 50 miles an hour and it's reading like bottom like it's not even there, bro. Like the water's gone and you see fish flopping everywhere. And he goes, that's the right size. You can do it 50 miles an hour and cover the whole damn lake in 10 minutes.
Is this something you're working on?
Well, I guarantee you somebody is.
All right.
They're getting that kind of
signal. How much is it going to cost? I might be a player on that.
I know. That's the thing. Next year it's going to be the side imaging, something else.
Well, I can tell you this much
on it, and everybody's going to sell all their stuff.
If I mount anything else on my trolling motor, I'm going to have my co-angler come up and help me pull it out of the water every time we want to make a move. I mean, this thing comes up out of the water like I'm reclining a lazy boy freaking recliner, man.
Yeah. So as of right now, I don't think it's out of control. I think it's tools to help. Once you do figure them out, that's amazing technology. Once you figure it out, but and so that's kind of where we're at on that. I don't want.
Yeah, that's a nice little spinoff. That's a nice little spinoff from the Trevor Fitzgerald offshore.
And we see those guys all the time. Like last year, George said we saw a lot of that going on. But those guys are on their trolling motors 5 days a week as a job. 40 hours a week as a job or more hours a week. They work at like a job, like we work a regular job, but that's what they're doing. Staring at one of them things, fishing it.
Do you work 40 hours a week?
No.
Oh, I didn't think so.
I'm just saying, they're working I don't know what a 40 hour.
They don't either.
Is. The hell is
they don't either.
Week? I don't think any of our listeners know what a 40 hour week is.
Their motto is dark to dark, baby.
But my thing is, they're in front of that thing, so they can pick it up quickly. They're picking things up and they master it.
I think the learning curve.
Weekend warriors, it takes us a while.
I think the learning curve on 360 is very short. You will, especially if you've used any type of down or side imaging, you will adapt very quickly to 360 because that's what it is. Now, the learning curve on Panoptix, the best way I can put this to you is it's real easy to see what you're looking at. It's just really confusing to get there until you get your setup right and you understand your settings, because you're constantly setting. You're constantly reaching down and changing your gain and your depth range, which is not called the depth range, and the forward range. You're constantly boop, 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 on these things. And when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a fish because it just swam from there to there. So now you know what a fish looks like. And if you catch the fish, you can kind of relate to what its size is. And if you're throwing a Ned rig, when Mike and I first started out, we were throwing a Ned rig 45 feet out in front of the boat and watching the Ned rig sink. And I'm like, well, that must be what a Ned rig looks like when it sinks, because every time I cast, it sinks in front of my transducer. Yeah. So that's how easy it is. Would you agree?
It is. It's
the setting up and the Now, when you're looking at the bottom, you don't see the fish on the bottom, but you can kind of like see a rock. We were fishing these little tiny, like 1 foot tall veins of rock. Mm. And we could just kind of take the trolling motor pedal and wiggle it back and forth, which steered the trolling motor. And you could, okay.
You could see right where it was.
We thought it was there.
Yeah.
We thought it was there. And then we went and wiggled that. Okay. Yeah, I can see it. And then your mind paints a picture.
Yeah.
So it's no different from that respect.
Yeah. I saw a cool video today from a guy who was down striper fishing on the flats. And, he was throwing a jerk bait. and these stripers were, he said I was catching stripers, but it was so many of them there that I learned a ton about my bait and what it looks like in the water and how I can fish it, just like you said, and getting that information.
That's a great time to catalog some information.
Exactly. I always said, guys that want to learn how to fly fish, learn it in March before the trout season opens on a fly fishing only area where they stock it with fresh stock trout. Then you can go down there and catch them on a fly.
Actually get bit.
And get a lot of bites and kind of learn a lot really quickly. Because if you guys know, if you're not catching fish, you're not learning anything. You got to catch fish to learn something. I mean, every time you go out, you learn something about the bottom or you found this or about that. But you don't know nothing about fish unless you're catching fish. Then you're learning about fish. Right, George?
Well, it's interesting you say that because Jason Abram made a comment in one of the articles about his practice where he kind of thought this was going to be the deal. And he went up in there and he was trying to identify and when he got bit,
he started putting pieces together
2 or 3 times. And after a little bit, he's like, I need to catch one of these fish and see it. And one of the anglers that's fishing the Elite Series tournament today, same thing. It only took 2 or 3 bites to learn.
Yeah.
He didn't need to go catch a bunch of fish. He didn't even have a hook. This elite guy that they were talking about didn't even have a hook on his bait.
Right.
And he had 2 or 3 bites. And then he's tied a jig on with a hook so he could catch one. It was a 6-pounder.
Yeah.
And he's like,
damn it.
So like 4 bites, but you knew.
That's what I didn't want to catch.
Like when you catch that fish, it's so much you can learn on one fish.
Exactly.
Or 2 fish.
You gotta
and
catch.
It's the same thing with the electronics.
You gotta catch fish to appreciate what you're looking at and what you thinking. To prove what you're thinking is correct.
It'll go down quick.
Yeah.
Like I remember one of the first times with 360 of marking fish and catching fish.
Yeah.
And that reaffirmed what you believed and gave you like deadly confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's your time
that
you're wasting if you're wrong.
Yeah. Right.
So
and that's the other thing you hear so many of these pros talk about with this imaging is that they waste a lot of time. It's easy to waste a lot of time on fish that aren't aggressive and that aren't going to bite because they come up and look at it and they go like this. Oh shit, I got to change color. They change color and they throw out there and
does it again.
The fish comes up, looks at it, goes away. Oh, I got to go to a thinner line. Get the rod out, rechange again. But and it's an hour. It's an hour and you haven't caught a fish yet. So
you don't have that kind of time.
It can really screw you up. So you need to catch fish to learn what you're looking at and what the fish, what an aggressive fish looks like.
Well,
what
exactly.
a non-aggressive fish looks like. What a fish is going to bite looks like.
And when it's time to move on.
And then when it's time to move on, cut and run.
Plus, you can come back.
So that's a very difficult thing. None of us are that good at it. We think we are, but none of us are that good at it because we don't have the time on it.
It's a forever.
It's going to take a long
curve.
time for the average guy, the weekend angler, to put those pieces together, and like these guys who are doing well with it, they know when they're fishing a brush pile. Oh man, these fish aren't biting right now. I need to move. Go to that because they have 150 brush piles.
They got a bunch of them.
I got a couple too.
I know you do.
I got one called the Taj Mahal East and the Taj Mahal South.
Mike built a brush pile one time that was so big that when it sank to the bottom, it stuck out of the top of the river 3 feet.
That's called the Taj Mahal.
They had to lay on top of the brush pile to get underneath the bridge. I mean, at what point?
It was the greatest brush pile of all time.
At what point are you not like, maybe this is too big?
I fished a guide trip all day long. I worked like I had to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning, do this guide trip until 3 o'clock. Call my buddy up. He's like, we have to load this stuff up. Come to my house. So I go to his house, load this monstrous load of stuff up. It's like 90. And I'm tired and I've got stuff all over my face. We get down to the boat ramp, throw the stuff on. Now we have to throw the stuff onto the boat with plywood, and it's on my boat. It's getting trashed. And we start going out through the creek, and it's like 10 feet above the bridge. And we're like, what the hell? So we're trying to tramp it down. Anyway, it's I think that was the Taj Mahal East, which was Taj Mahal West was on the western side of the river. Yeah. So it's there till you guys can find it with your side imaging and your Panoptix. Trust me.
On low water, you can see it.
You can't miss this mother. It's to try. We've won some tournaments off it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that was interesting. With that shad spawn and now David Walker also capitalized in that tournament on the shad spawn, and he did the same thing. He swam. He did a swim jig. He put a white turbo crawl on. Did a swim jig. He did some flipping, and he used his David Walker cross-eye flipping jig and his whatever batwing trailer, and then he punched with a goat, but. The cool thing about David Walker, we kind of already talked about with Jason Abram. David Walker on the last day had no fish at all for a long time. He was at the bottom of the leaderboard.
David Walker,
no
fish.
The last day. Wow. But this is what we just talked about with Jason Abrams. Yeah. He knew that if he kept swimming his jig and flipping his jig and punching his goat over and over and over and over, he knew. And he ended up in second place.
Wait a second.
He knew he was going to catch those fish. He knew it.
So 3 days of the tournament, he didn't have a fish.
No, we're talking about the last day. See if it's a 4-day tournament.
Okay.
So the last day.
Oh, he didn't get bit in the first 3 periods.
They don't have periods. This is an 8-hour tournament.
So when didn't he get bit? Oh, during the day.
So the last day of the tournament.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have any fish.
Okay.
So he was in last place.
Oh.
But he knew if he stayed with his game.
So he was in the top 10 still, but.
Yeah, only 10 went out.
Yeah.
You can't go to 11th.
So he was in. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't understand these rules.
Well, maybe you should study tournaments a little more.
I try to, but there's too many rules.
You ever fish any?
I fished a tournament or 2.
Okay. Doesn't seem like it.
Nick, Panoptic back to that. That wall back there with all the trophies on it. Panoptic to that over there, would you? Side image that for me, would you? Now you can zoom in the best you can. Oh yeah. Oh, the blue. You see the blue back there?
Is that Bassmaster Elite blue?
That's old blue, right in the corner, guys. That's old blue. That Panoptix is picking it up good.
That's pretty impressive.
I fished a tournament or 2.
That's pretty impressive.
I'm just still very confused on some of the rules.
I'm
saying a major league, you're allowed.
I just hope Nick doesn't pan in on doing any side imaging on my wall.
No, I know you got a good wall. We know all about your wall, but I don't ever bust on your ass about your wall. You always bust on me about my wall.
I love to, but you missed my point.
Always bust on me.
You missed my point. My point is, it's the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
It's full count.
Yeah,
bases are loaded, and you're losing.
Yeah,
and my man just kept perfectly executing his game, knowing that when they turned that dam on, he was going to get bit, and he just hung tough, and he ended up in second place, and he damn near won this thing. So again, that's
how hard is that to do,
dude? It's monumental.
Now you're saying something there that is just coming off your tongue like it's just like nothing,
dude. It is brutal.
To go that long without a bite, and then to know that your fish are going to turn on. I'm telling you, man. How many times do you think we left fish?
Well,
to go find fish. How many times do you think you did that, Nick?
Way too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So here's the cool thing, Mike.
If you would have waited it out, but then there's been times like this guy where he's gone, and that with that plan, that certain plan, and then just burned the whole day, and it just never happened.
It happens.
So you got that on the back of your mind. I'm not dying. I'm not dying here. I'm not dying. Who said that a million times? We all said it. I'm not dying here today. This guy, man, to make that decision is huge.
Well, it goes a little bigger than that. So he for many years he was a 2-tour pro.
Oh yeah.
So now you have to set your mindset on the 2-tour pro guys, the Ish Monroes, the David Walkers, and now that 5 or 6 or 7 bites that I'm going to get, that mentality. Now that mentality, take it out to the next level, and this is the concept that is where these guys live. I'm fishing 16 tour events this year. I'm going to qualify for maybe a classic, or maybe I'm going to qualify for Red Crest, or maybe I'm going to qualify for heavy hitters. Now I'm fishing 19 events. Now that is, X number of guaranteed days plus every cut day is another day. So out of 19 events, I'm guaranteed to fish 38 days.
Yeah,
but I'm going to fish, 45 days.
Yeah.
That's the picture he's looking at.
Right.
So if he didn't get bit in this tournament, that's a shame for this tournament.
Yeah, he was already good.
But that's not a shame for 19 events.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
Because in his world, on these 2-tour pro worlds, in his world,
I get it.
2 months.
I think we get, I think
can be a 6-figure payday.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but my thing is
that thought process.
My thing is for we try to always pull something out of these tournaments for us,
and that's a nugget right there for me.
Where we're not, we just got to know right there. You got to know you got to know your fish. So you got to know you're catching them. You got to know whether they're the right fish that you're supposed to be catching, and then you got to know that on the second day of your tournament or third day of your tournament that they're still there. We don't fish too many 3-day tournaments, do we? Some 2 days, like federation stuff. I fished 2-day tournaments already. I think I fished a 3-day tournament, like divisional. When you get to the divisional level, been there once or twice, and you get 3-day tournaments. But most of them are like 2 days. So on a second day, you whacked them the first day. Are they they're going to be there good enough for the second day? That's hard to do.
Yeah, and
it's a good conversation though.
It goes to that mindset.
Really good conversation.
And I think first and second place epitomize that.
Yeah.
So that was the Lake Eufaula. Yeah. The strength of the shad spawn, the strength of the swim jig. I think these tournaments tell you nothing else other than if you're not a swim jig guy or gal, you might want to consider being one. Yeah. And if you're looking at
this year is definitely a swim jig.
I mean, we've talked swim jigs
and a jerkbait year.
And we've talked swim jigs numerous times.
Yeah.
I mean, white is a major player in the swim jig world. When they're eating shad, you need to throw a white jig. A white jig with a white trailer. That's there. We just made your decision for you. When they're eating crawfish, you can go with black and blue and green pumpkin, whatever, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But dude,
yeah.
You think you ought to throw a white jig? I mean, I saw like $500,000 won on a white jig in the last month.
I got me some white
jigs. You know what
jigs.
I'm saying?
I got me some white jigs tied up.
So that was that. Now, congratulations to the Major League Fishing Pro Circuit anglers. Jason Abrams, that's his second win in 2 years. Okay, young pro, moving on up. Reaction Innovation Pro.
Let's see, George. Bill Klutz back in the house. Hey, how you doing, Bill? Roland's up there with you? Well, that's good. That's good. He could shoot some good shows up there with you, man. That's some excellent fishing. Yeah, we want to come up.
We would love to come up and fish with you.
Like to come up tomorrow. Set me up. Be up there tomorrow to fish with Roland. James Hawk. Yep. Andre, how you doing, Andre? Kevin Carpenter, how are you? Yeah, I know I'm a hammer. Just gonna say it. I'm a hammer. Todd Lingle, yeah.
Looks like you're 3 hammers.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's for sure, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim Noeth. Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I think you're talking about the polymer knot. Absolutely. That thing's not polymer. Crazy Alberto.
Leader knot.
Leader for your leader knot.
Good stuff.
We show that in here every single day because it's so important to know how to tie that knot and tie a good one. I know it's going to work for you guys very well.
And we've done a couple knot segments on Tackle Shop Live.
Yeah, we done,
and I'm sure we'll do more.
Yeah, and we have a couple videos
YouTube
on YouTube.
Yeah,
on our YouTube channel, you can go see our videos on YouTube on Ty the Crazy.
Those videos are well done, but you know what, man, I don't know if it's just the way my brain works. I have a hard time watching those videos, and then you know the diagrams they put in the magazines. What the hell? I can't do that.
Yeah,
I mean. So the magazine diagrams suck.
They do.
The YouTube videos, you got to be like in a
Ours
zen.
are pretty good though.
You have to be in like a zen state of mind to follow the bouncing ball. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching a shell game or something. You know, like.
Doug Miller likes the little Schmitty with a Zako paddle tail. Crushed him this morning on him.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Nice.
You know, let me tell you something, Doug Miller. You're a hammer. You are a hammer. Yeah, come on over. We'll open up.
Joe Gallo's bringing some Four Roses over. Door's locked, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Third trip. Okay. Yeah, 3-hour trip back and forth. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
appreciate that, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping in tonight. We do Tackle Shop Live every Thursday night at 7:00, and we, you know, a lot of it's freestyling. We just kind of freestyle. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to get answered, but we've been the last couple of weeks we've been using the tournaments to kind of spawn some of the talk off of, you know, and kind of dissect, because, you know, it's kind of what we're into or what's going to be coming up real quick around where we're at. And we can apply some of this stuff. You can really take a lot out of it. We keep saying it every week that you can definitely take a lot out of this, this conversation.
For sure.
It's a lot of stuff. And we like to spin off of it into these little conversations.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very educational.
We just went to the mental side of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a
we're not fishing the BFL, John. George was going to fish the BFLs this year, and we're just short staffed here at the shop, and we're kind of all yanked out of proportion, but we're going to start doing some stuff again. We're coming back.
Cue the Rocky music.
We're coming back. We're coming back. We're going to come back and do some tournament fishing.
Rising up.
You know, if anything, if anything, just to hang out with great guys. That's what I love about tournament fishing. You meet so many good friends. Did my time, took my chances. We have. I mean, we
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're coming back.
Yeah.
And, you know, competitive or not, it's a lot of fun and it's enjoyable. And hell yeah, we're competitive. We like to be competitive. I can't even fish with him without being we have some kind of bet going on, but it's, you know, it's all the people that we met. It's all the friends that we made over the years, tournament fishing, that really got us to this point to where we're at today. And knowing all the people we do all across the country, it's very, very, very good. It's very fun. So, you know, tournament fishing, that's why we do the Summer Slam, is we want to introduce new people into it. And the $250 cash would be like, oh, geez, my wife would kill me. But, you know, if I'm buying tackle, I got my rods and reels out of it. That's why we do it that way. So we can get some new blood into the whole thing, because there's a lot of friendships made out there. Just think about all the friends you guys got.
Well, Mike, the other thing about tournament
from all over
fishing,
the country, you know,
the other thing about tournament fishing, like, for example, club fishing. So, I mean, everybody wants to learn. I mean, that's learn. We got the Bass University. You know, people are all members of the Bass University. They want to learn. You know, everybody's constantly want to learn. A great way to learn is join a bass club. And the reason for that is, if you fish X number of tournaments and you're in a club that actually draws partners, some of these clubs, everybody just takes their own boat and they go fishing. I guess, I don't know. But if you draw up and pair up with different fishermen, you're learning different ways. Occasionally, I'm not saying everybody's going to teach you something, but you're learning different ways to solve the puzzle.
I always learn something every time I go out with somebody.
Well, and that's the goal.
Yeah. And a lot of times I learn the wrong thing. You know, like,
we're kind of doing
I learned not to do that.
We're kind of doing that here. You know what I'm saying?
you ever fish with guys, you're like, oh, I know not to do that next time out. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell is this guy thinking?
Yeah.
Well, so it's good both ways.
And sometimes you are that guy.
And sometimes I'm that guy. Yeah. You don't, exactly. You don't know. So it's cool to.
I know I've learned some of my most.
I paired up with some people that blew me away.
Some of my most greatest finishes were from learning something from somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you learned how to punch from Steve Kennedy.
Absolutely.
You taught me how to punch.
That's a great story. You know? That's a great story.
I cashed a $10,000 check about 4 days later.
Yeah. Me and George.
So, I mean,
I went down and fished a tournament.
It was a learning process.
Yeah. I went down and fished a tournament down in the Bay. I learned, a lot of stuff that weekend. But one of the things was I learned you can't punch with 2 3/4 ounce sinkers stacked on top of each other. It doesn't work.
That's the clacker.
And I didn't have pegs and stuff. I threw it up in the air to go and just sit on top. So I was fishing with Kennedy, and he was really friendly and turned me on to a lot of things about that. And I called George up when we get off the water. I'm like, bro, make sure you stop and get 1.5 ounce sinkers, because he's coming down the next day to fish the next week with the Everstart series, I think it was
something like that.
Yeah. And I said, you need 1.5 ounce weights. You need straight shank hooks, and you need this and that. I said, make sure you bring it. I'll show you what I mean. So he comes down and he has that stuff. And the next day I had it. So I went fishing and I used it, and I caught some fish on it. And I think I won like $5,000, because of it for that tournament. I came in like 5th place. So I got like a $5,000 check, which I was excited as hell. It was like a damn nice check. So then me and George talked about it. We were like on this and on that. And then he said, well, I'll go out and try it, So he started his practice on Monday. He goes out and he goes up to this place, and he's doing this. And he's like, oh my God, I am on something here.
It was ridiculous.
Time. Yeah. So,
I mean, it was ridiculous.
The only problem was he was losing a lot of fish. So he learned something else from JT Kenny on Snelling a hook, and how important it is for heavy grass.
JT was fishing near me, and I lost 3 big fish in front of him. And that night back at the hotel, I'm like, bro, you got to help a brother out here. And back then, JT wasn't the wildly, massively successful individual that he is today. And we were all cooking on barbecues in the back of our trucks because we couldn't afford to pay attention. And JT's like, I'll show you this knot for like a hamburger or something. So we worked out a little barter plan there, and JT gave me a hook, taught me how to teach a knot, and
the rest is history.
But you learn from the people you fish with.
You always learn.
You also learn. You're not better than these tournaments.
Else. Yes,
which is what we like to do.
Yes, we go over. We remember this. Scenarios. More scenarios you can put in your head, the better it is. We got to keep moving on here, George.
We do. I just wanted to mention.
Just do a mention on Gunnersville.
I want to mention the Elite.
Day 1. GDP's in 25th
or 6th.
That low?
22nd.
22nd.
He had a good day today.
Yeah, he had a good day.
He had a good day today with he's
15, right
in the mix.
He's right there.
Right in the mix.
Somebody does have 27 pounds.
Yeah, Cup Hall.
Cup Hall is just like smashing them.
One thing I've learned about him, I've never seen him cast a bait casting rod in his entire career, because all he does is flip.
Oh, he's a flipper.
Flip, bang.
So he's flipping.
He's one of them guys like we're talking about.
Yeah.
He knows he's getting those 27-10.
Yep.
Second place is Todd Auten with 21-3.
Yep.
I'd be willing to bet my paycheck this week that he's throwing a chatterwagon.
Probably.
And third place is Brandon Polnick with 2012.
Probably,
and you know what's
probably
interesting
a swim
about that?
bait in there somewhere.
You know what's interesting about that?
What?
He won the James last weekend.
Yeah.
Now this
I got
to talk to you about.
Well, let's speed it up here.
The Open on the James River. Tidal Water 101. Here's his 2 major baits. An 8-inch mag draft and an Arashi glide. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb. And
first, you got to understand something. The James River down in the Chick where he was is loaded up with Florida strain largemouth. Correct?
Yeah.
So it's not
Megan's.
Yeah, it's not like northern strain largemouth.
Day 2, I think it was. He weighed the biggest stringer of the event and shot up the board.
Yes.
And he found the angle of the cast that these fish wanted, and he power poled down, and he threw these baits right here. He didn't throw the 6-inch mag draft.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing looks like
minnows.
The freaking space shuttle on the back of the freaking 747 going up to space.
Yeah,
he threw the 8-inch mag draft.
Well, the thing is there.
So, I mean, you want to talk about learning stuff from tournaments?
That's what I'm saying.
How many tidal water guys that fish tournaments?
He was fishing post spawners.
Are slinging 8-inch.
That's important to know.
2.5 ounce to 3 ounce swim.
Nobody's doing it.
10-4.
There's guys trying to do it, but they're there's not a lot of success with it. It's you got to know when to throw it, and he figured it out, man. That guy is badass. Brandon Palnick.
Tremendous. He has like 5 or 6 Elite Series wins.
He's freaking badass.
He's incredible.
He
runs a skeeter too.
I was reading somewhere where he's like he does his homework, does his research, but he just fishes and changes every single day.
And he works hard.
And he works super hard. He's not afraid to change every single day. Just go into the first day. He just goes in and he's just, like we always talk, open slate for the second day. And that's what we do. That's what we have always done is, after day 1, you go back out, and it's so hard to do with open slate. You do your, open slate fishing. It's kind of easy for me to do better because I've guided so many times back to back to back where I had to go out and readjust. Because fish, I'm telling you, if you get 2 days in a row doing the same damn thing, that's pretty good. That never really happens. You got to make some kind of small adjustment. Sometimes small, sometimes big.
Unless you're on
I've done it a million times.
On something like a fall pattern where the fish are kind of locked on schools of bait or something. But so I thought that was pretty cool. Tournament talk this week. I thought we learned a lot. I thought it was pretty cool.
Gary Kalick. Gary Kalick just checked in. Gary went out to the Ozarks, and his brother lives out there, and fished a couple open tournaments. And I think they came in third. They won one, and they came in third in another. No, brother and I won.
No, they finished third in the tournament. And they had big bass.
Oh yeah, third in the tournament and big bass out there. We saw that, Gary. Congratulations, brother. That's awesome. You and your brother are hammers. No matter where you go, you can drive halfway across the damn world and catch them. Freaking hammer, George.
Yeah, I like it.
Mike Barr says Senko's working on the
bottom of his sentence there.
What?
You see what he said in his statement?
Being bass clubs for 30 years in Lancaster, yeah. And
using what he learned, fishing with other people.
Yep. Well, I know.
Accelerates.
Exactly.
So
Mike Barr's fishing down the Pocomoke River, and he's slaying them on the old Senko. Way to go, Mike.
I'm pretty sure his partner's slaying on the Senko.
Mike Shalley's telling us
Mike's probably running the net.
Everything can always learn some. So absolutely, Mike. That's so important. I don't care who you are. You can learn something from everybody. Even if if you're that damn cocky that you don't think you can learn something, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're always going to be that guy, that just is right in the pack. You're never going to be that guy that tops out all the time. So don't be cocky. Learn something from everybody.
Absolutely.
Very important, George.
Words to live by.
So I want to get into some product, bro. We're gonna move into some other stuff. Are you all right?
No, I'm wonderful. I mean, I'm beyond all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the show here having a ball, and I have some product to talk about.
Yeah.
Some things that I'm actually doing.
Product talk coming up right now.
And I'm excited.
Love talking product, George.
I knit.
We don't do enough of it.
Huh?
We don't do enough of it. Getting nitty gritty.
Well,
digging deep, getting down in it. Dirty.
Well, I got news for you. The show's like an hour and 20 minutes long. We don't, we can't really just like.
We got 20 minutes to get down and dirty and some stuff. So what do you have first? Go ahead.
Well, on the heels of Brandon Palaniuk's triumphant swim bait thing, this is something that I've been doing, and I have been trying to get in this game and learn. Oops, I'm tangled up in the cord there. I've been trying to get in this game, and I've been doing a lot of smallmouth fishing this year. I've been fishing on the Susquehanna River out of the jet boat pretty much weekly all year. And I've been throwing these mag drafts and mag slows. I'm a big fan of the mag slow, the top one, in the 6-inch size. And I have found that early season, like when the water's real cold, no good. But once we start getting towards like a true spawning period, the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks, these things have been slaying giant smallmouth. They're a great search bait. A lot of times the fish will show themselves and we can get them on another bait. And when they eat it, they rip the rod out of your hand. So I would like to talk about the difference between the mag draft and the mag slow. The mag slow is like really good in super shallow water because it sinks very slowly. And it has this big obnoxious chicken feather tied on the belly, which I was kind of getting tired of because I had a lot of fish swatting at my bait and I wasn't catching them. But don't cut that off, because when the right one gets on it, they eat it. Other thing I was worried about when I started fishing this bait was the durability. Because they're not super expensive, but they're not inexpensive. And I'm thinking soft plastic swim bait, a magnet in the belly that holds the hook in place. I mean, I'm going to go through like $1,000 worth of these things. No, I'm getting, and I know other people are thinking that same thing. And this is why I have in my notes here to bring that up. I'm really surprised at how long these hold up.
I know the one that you're throwing now, you threw a lot last year.
The one I have tied on my rod right now has been tied on that rod for over a year.
I know last year you were throwing it a lot.
And also that's not a good idea because you don't want to get them dirty. So when you're not throwing this bait,
take care of them.
Cut it off because it lasts.
Show them some love.
Cut it off your rod and put it in your swim bait box. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now the mag draft, which is by far the more versatile of the two and much more popular and effective, I would say, overall. Mm-hmm. The mag draft is a bulkier body. It's not as thin. It's a little heavier, so it sinks a little faster. Better. And, the reason they call them mag is they have magnets in the belly that help to hold the hook up against the belly. Mm-hmm. Now, the hook will pull down, and you can reposition it. A lot of times what the pros do on the big one, on the 8-inch, is they'll take the upward-facing hook point, and they'll bend it up a little bit and use it to stick into the bait better.
Yeah, they skin hook it.
They stick it.
Keep it held up. They're bombing that thing, man.
Yeah, and they're slinging it. And plus, this thing's big and heavy. It's 3 ounces.
Yeah, they're using like an 8-foot rod on that thing.
When it hits the water. Now, what I'm doing on mine, guys, is I'm fishing 15 fluoro.
What?
Yeah.
A little light.
Nope, it's not. On the mag slow, 15 fluoro is absolutely perfect. On the 6-inch mag draft in the open water, absolutely perfect.
Well, smallies, I can see that.
Even if I was throwing this thing on around grass, this is also these swim baits are awesome over grass.
Yes, they are
on a higher tide. Yep. The only problem is you get a lot of fishing pressure, a lot of wind, a lot of floating pieces of grass. Mm-hmm. You get fouled up.
There's a lot of guys fishing.
You know what I mean, Mike?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys fishing those baits, which is called the freestyle.
Okay, yeah, the freestyle is modeled after the mag draft.
Yeah, it's the mag draft without all the hardware.
It's a body.
And it's a body, and you can rig it. So there's a lot of guys who are like fishing in heavier grass or skipping it around trees and docks.
Great point.
There are not docks, but trees and stuff. They rig it
belly hook.
Belly hook. Because we got them. We got those freaking monster hooks from Owner.
Yeah, a lot of them are using the 8.0.
I mean,
the 8.0.
They take that 8.0. They pick up cranes with that thing. In other words, crane doesn't use it. They pick up cranes with that. That thing's badass.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about mag draft and mag slow and the durability, the effectiveness. Yeah. We have caught a bunch of big smallies on these baits.
St. Crest is checking in here, and he's throwing a KGB swim bait. There's a million of them out there.
Unbelievable.
We're just starting to really expand our base with it.
Yeah.
But every time you come in here, you're seeing some different swim baits in here because we're kind of junkies on it. We're kind of really messing with it, and I think you're going to see a lot more over the
next fish are eating it. The fish eat these things.
Yeah, you're going to see some different baits in here. So we're into it. Yeah,
the Arashi Glide. That's a hard, but I'm talking about the soft baits.
Yeah.
That's what I want to talk about, Mike.
So last week we talked a little bit about topwater fishing, and we kind of rushed at the very end. So I wanted to kind of get into this is when it's starting right now. Post spawn is happening. You're seeing it happening on some of the tournaments. Some of the guys are throwing in the morning. They're catching fish on walking baits, and
Jamie Hartman won this Gunnersville tournament last year on a Super Spook.
Yeah, and then we noticed a big shift here the last week with our southern orders going to topwaters. A lot of topwaters, and guys are really starting to throw a lot of them.
Well, those fish are schooling up offshore.
Yeah, so that's starting to happen. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that real quick and just show you that we do have, we stock a whole hodgepodge of them. And the walking baits that these guys are buying right now are the Czar Spook, which is the old traditional. Believe it or not, we still sell a ton of that bait right there, a million of them. Now they do a lot of work to them. A lot of guys will take I'm sorry, I can't see anything, but a lot of guys will take the split, put a split ring on because these do not have split rings. So a lot of guys will put a split ring on the hooks, change the hooks out, and make them right, for tournament fishing. But you can take them out of the pack and fish them just like that and do well with them. But that's one that's been around for 40 years. I keep wanting to say 30, but we've been in business for 30. It's been around before that now. So it's like 40 years, 50 years. I don't know. Shit, things have been around forever. And then in the Spook family, we have, of course, the Super Spook, which came out after the Czar Spook, was the Super Spook. And this one here is more like it has split rings on it now. It's got 3 hooks. I still would change the hooks out on that, but you can see that's and the colors are a little bit better. So you have that one. And then don't forget, I was just taught this by a guy today, or reminded of by a guy today who's out fishing. And he says to me, man, I had a great day yesterday. And he had this whole big handful of number 8 X-Wraps. Number 8 X-Wraps, which are only about that big. And he's throwing them down in a place that we're all fishing kind of like right now. And he whacked them. He had 2 4-pounders. He had a couple of 3s. I mean, he had a big bag on these things. And he said nobody else was catching anything. He was the only one catching them. Everybody knows this one. The Zara Puppy. Legendary.
I got to ask you a question about your topwaters.
Yeah.
What kind of line are you throwing them on?
Well, I throw a lot of my topwaters on just copolymer.
What pound?
12-pound test.
12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm up at 12.
Well, it seems light.
No, I know.
Just my opinion.
I know. You keep saying that, but I do. When I need more, I go for more.
And I go back and forth.
But I fish a lot of 12-pound tests. I feel like you could throw a little bit better, and I'm not worried about hook set because, dude, they got all kinds of hooks on these things, man. You just got to make sure they're sharp, and you got the right rod, and you don't rip it out of their mouth. Just take your time with it. So
I kind of go back and forth on it,
sometimes you go braid, sometimes you do.
Well, one year I'm fishing mono, and another year I get on braid, and I think both are equally. Yeah. I thought it fit in nice with your conversation.
Yeah. So the Spooks family, don't forget that puppy, that baby, a puppy is really a walk-in bait that is something that you guys can catch giant fish with, and sometimes small is better than big. I'm gonna get back to small here in just a minute, but here's companies that came out afterwards. KVD, the dog, the sexy dog. Look at that thing. They got a sexy dog junior also. Thing's great. It's kind of like a copy off of the Spook, but they put a little twist in it. Here's my favorite. You know what that sexy dog reminds me of a lot? The old Vixen. Vixen, yeah. The old Vixen. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff out there copying the Vixen right now. The other one copying the Vixen is the kick knocker. The kick knocker, which we have Teckle, which we have in stock. I was going to grab a couple of them, but they're noisier. They're noisy as hell. Yeah. And that sexy dog's noisy. It's got a different knock. So like tingy. So what you're going to find with a lot of these different baits is the sound's different. So that's what's big on it. But here's one we've done for years. We've done so well with is the Lucky Craft Sammy 100. Subtle, quiet, subtle. Work it real slow, slip it along. Gracetown Lake killer up there, which is a mountain lake, real crystal clear water. That thing's money right there. If you don't have that, you might as well stay home. So there's the puppy, and then along came a spider who sat down beside her, and they called her the Shower Blow, or the SB. That's a killer. That's made by Evergreen, and the SB is like you hear guys like on those big lakes down south. That's what they're throwing right now. They're throwing these big giant 125s right there, Carolina Chrome, and there's bigger ones too. Like now Berkeley comes out with one. That's almost a copy of that. But these things right here, this is money right here. You got the and for smallmouth, we kill them on the 105. The 105, we kill them on that guy right there on smallmouth and largemouth. It's not small. But then when you really want to show them something big, you go to that 128, which is what a lot of guys down south are throwing, is the 128. We sell probably more than those and those impoundments than anything. So, and then you got river guys. I think in walking baits, Mike, I personally believe that you're a little better off always upsizing a little bit. Yeah. And then letting the fish tell you that was a mistake. Usually they don't. One that you didn't grab off the wall that I'm addicted to personally is the giant Dog X from Megabass. I mean, I'm just addicted to that thing. I mean, there will be one tie. I have a rod that I throw it on. Yeah. And it will be tied on from now. And that'll happen sometime. Until November. You're going to read about that sometime in one of these tournaments. You're going to read about it, but kind of like your walking baits that you're talking. That's kind of like one of my. It's a big ass bait though. No, the giant Dog X. Oh, the giant Dog X. Yeah. No, absolutely. I didn't grab it because I just didn't grab it, but that is money. The Dog X from Megabass. I thought giant Dog X. For some reason, I was like giant Dog X. Sexy dog had me in mind. So, I can't talk enough about these guys right here. Matter of fact, down on the James, this Rico right here was money on this last tournament. We had a couple of customers that called up and ordered these special for down there. They were whacking nice bags. Some of the guys were like in the 20s, 30s, right around in there, fishing the top water, these top water poppers. It is a fantastic spawning, pre-spawning, post-spawn, kind of post-spawn, maybe more post-spawn, but you can catch them in pre-spawn too. The Rico, and then the one that me and George throw the most is the Donna Avino Splash. You guys heard us talk about this the most. These baits right here, I'm telling you, in right now is the key. It's the big key for that spawn and post-spawn bite. Working that bait super slow. Boop, boop, boop. Just walks really nice. You can walk it and just, what I like to do is just walk, and just let it set, and just let it float along and let it set there. Count to 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, that's a long time when you're sitting there, and then just a little bit of walk, let it set. And it sets real flat. Doesn't set level, but it sets real flat, about like this right here. A pop bar sets a lot like this. So that's a different look right there. So I like that look right there for this. setting it still.
You know what Terry Backsace told me one time? If you're really, really careful and you delicately strip the finish off the back of a splash it, and you get down 2 or 3 layers, it says Rico.
It might. It might.
And you know what Kevin Van Dam told me one time?
Yeah.
His KVD
pop.
KVD Splash.
Yeah.
And Splash Junior.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not going to lie to you. He said, most of the time we do elaborate research and product development on our baits.
They just knocked off
and
baits.
Tremendous testing. He said on this particular topwater, we copied a Splash It.
Yeah.
And a Splash It too, because I feel as though those are the best. And I wanted my bait to be the best.
So the popper is
which I thought was a compliment.
Yeah. Well, the popper is totally different than the walking bait. So make sure that when you do your topwater scenario and you do your buzz bait and you do your walking bait, don't forget the popper. The size does matter in this situation. Nick Wink. Does.
That's interesting.
In case you were wondering.
Well, question for you guys. What makes you decide to throw a popper versus a walking type bait?
Well, I think I think the fish will dictate that to you. You know, I think it's first of all, it's like the bait that you see and what's going on there. You get kind of a feel for it, what they're eating on, but the fish will tell you. Me and George go through this all the time. Like when I'm in a boat, because you're always in a boat with somebody. Somebody throws a walking bait and somebody throws a popper.
Yeah, not only that,
it kind of works out real quick.
To kind of break Nick's answer down. I mean, you have to. What makes you throw a popper? What makes you throw a walking bait during the spawn? What makes you throw a popper? What makes you throw a walking bait during the summer? What makes you throw a popper? And what makes you throw a walking bait during the fall? Because it's 3 completely different answers. So in the spawn season right now, what makes me throw a Splash It is extremely calm conditions. I can delicately lay that thing out there on the water. It makes that shad spitting sound when I walk it. I can fish it nice and slow, like Mike emphasized.
That's a key.
They eat it.
A lot of people fish them too fast.
Now, if you get a little chop on the water, Mr. Splash, it's not that good, not the best. Then I'll pick up a walking bait, and I'll start, walking around. Blah, blah, blah. Now, those same scenarios to make that decision are different in the summer and the fall. And obviously, we're not going to go into that tonight. But we are going to talk about it during the summer. And we are going to talk about it during the fall and the early fall.
Yeah.
Because it's radically different decision-making there. Would you agree?
Yeah. I just think, this time of year, Nick, it could change so quickly. So you have to throw both. And you have to mix the buzzbait in there at the same time. So there's 3 different things you got to kind of mix in there, and you have to throw them all. You have to throw them all, because when one's on, baby, it's like that guy I was talking to down at James. He said he was in this in the pit, some kind of barge pit or something.
Whoa.
And he said he was in this barge pit. And he's throwing this topwater popper around. And he's whacking him. Nobody else is. And he said, it took about 10 minutes. He said, all of a sudden, there's guys throwing these topwaters out. He said, but it took him even a little bit longer because I was working in a special way. Then they started to figure it out how I was working it. And then they started catching him. But he would have been way up there, but he jumped off about an 8-pounder, he said.
Yeah. You know what else is really good back in that barge pit? That pit?
Yeah.
May have barges in it.
Yeah.
A fluke.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Guaranteed. I think he did catch some fish on the fluke as a follow-up bait. Now, I will tell you this.
Been there, done that.
You got to have a good feather, okay? You really got to have a good feather. I don't like a long feather. I like a shorter feather. I don't like it to be, 1.5 times or 2 times the length of the hook. Like some of them are 2 times the length of the hook. I like about 1 time length of the hook myself. I kind of pick through them. Me and George get them in boxes like this, and I'll pick through them. And
you know who makes great commercially available feather in the length that we like?
What?
Gamakatsu.
Yeah.
So you know who else has one, Mike? That really is the length that we like?
Yeah.
Owner.
Yeah. So where's a couple? Yeah. We have them here. You know,
they got
these are the Iavino ones that we do. If you like that hook, which I don't know, it's a chrome hook, but the freaking thing's sharp.
It's a VMC chemically sharpened.
Damn thing is freaking nasty.
Just saying.
I use them, but you got to keep a clean feather on your hooks, and that means if you're fishing tidal water or dirty water conditions, it may take, you may have to change that out, especially in tidal water with that suds and stuff.
Well, and don't throw your baits back in your box when you're done fishing wet.
Let them lay out
because your hook will rust.
Yeah.
Or the wet feather will pick up the dirt from the box, and then guess what? It doesn't have that bright white to it.
Okay. So, Jason, do you agree that a bait like the Splash It, the fish commit entirely, where the walking baits have followers, and where it's important to keep the bait moving? Well, I understand what you're saying there. So what he's saying is, with a Splash It working it, they seem to, when they come up, the fish seem to engulf it and take it. You don't have as many misses. With a walking bait, there's times where the fish will just follow it. They'll follow it up, or they'll swipe at it and just
stop.
Miss it, and you got to keep working.
Don't stop.
They always say you got to keep working.
Don't stop.
I would say 90% of the time, if you don't stop and you keep working them, you can get another shot at them. 10% of the time, if you stop, what I always did was I would stop and let it sit there. And if I didn't get them to bite it just by letting them sit there, I would rip that son of a bitch back so fast it was unbelievable. And then sometimes I would get, and you sometimes get a bite. But a lot of times, it's only 10% of the time. Like George said, most of the time you just keep working and keep working and keep working it, and they'll take it all the way to the boat and then smash it. So but don't be afraid that if it's nothing's working, you're so frustrated, you're ready to jump out the window.
The other reason you want to keep it walking,
just let it sit.
A lot of time it's not one fish.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not one fish. You got one fish that took a shot at your bait, he missed it, and his buddies are now fired up. It's it's like poking a hornet's nest. You ain't getting one hornet coming out there after you.
I think with a Splash It, I think, Jason, is if they're on that size bait, it's such a great match for this time of year. It's a great match of the hatch. We talk about that all the time, matching the hatch. I think that's why it works so good right after the spawn, because it's all fry that's around. It's, you got shad fry, you got bass fry, you got perch fry, wherever you're at, you got all this fry around. And it seems like the popper, at least in the Northeast for me, is if you fish it right, is the deal, man. Because I'm telling you, you got to get the pliers out. They got that thing. Clunk.
They eat it.
Clunk.
They eat it.
It's gone.
They eat it.
But I'll fish that all the way through June like that, kind of messing with the speed and slowing things down. And then once you get to a certain point, you just fish it like walking it all the way back to the boat, and they'll smash it.
And we'll revisit these top waters on a summer show, and then we're going to definitely revisit them again on a fall show.
Yeah, but I just wanted to touch base because last week we kind of touched into it, and we didn't really talk about the baits that the guys are throwing right now. So that we're selling a lot of walking baits, and we're selling a lot of bone, because I don't know why they just everybody. I don't do well with bone. I don't know why.
Well, you're on an island.
I am. I don't do well with bone. What's up with bone? I don't do well with bone. Like, this is my killer right here. That's my money. It's my juice. It's my juice right there. But, this is walking the bait season right now. So topwater season, 60 degrees on up, baby.
Start slinging
it. Let's go. Now, George, we have some new stuff. We have some new clothing. Now, I just want to show you guys real quick. We wanted to show it to you last week and we didn't. But I'm going to get it. George is going to explain to you this new.
I'm going to make it short and sweet.
Yeah, this new Sims.
I feel like we're turning into QVC here.
No, we're not. We're
going to go real quick on it.
We're going over products that people want to know about, bro.
Well, they do want to know about this.
This is something we want to talk about. Yeah. this is your new rain suit.
CX, not XX.
Yeah, CX. This is the CX, and it's a new rain suit from Sims that
waterproof zipper.
It's different than the always get the name wrong on the other ones, George. Challengers.
Different material. This is more like the Pro Dry material.
Yeah,
it's not
Gore-Tex, but it's Toray,
but it's built in the fabric and design of the Pro Dry. So it's a triple laminate. So you have the outer, the inner, and then sandwiched in between there is the Toray membrane, which is the Japanese version of Gore-Tex.
Right. And the reason we stocked this, because it's a little bit pricey, but the reason we stocked it is because anything like the Pro Dry, they're grand plus, right?
Yeah, it's high dollar, but this fabric. So the Challenger suit,
and it's going to be super durable.
The Challenger suit is also Toray.
Yes,
but
it's a different membrane or something in it.
It's the same Toray membrane, but it's a different outer and inner material.
Right.
So it has a different feel to it. It has a softer feel.
Right.
This has that crisper feel that the Pro Dry is known for.
I think probably a little bit more durable.
I don't know. I've had.
I know you. I know we love the Challenger.
I've never gotten wet in a Challenger, but what's nice about this fabric is I would call it lighter, and I would call it a more airy feel.
Yeah.
But it's got the Toray membrane, it's got the waterproof zippers, and there's also a bib.
Yep.
So Sims has gone to the CX line to bridge the gap between Challenger and Pro Dry.
Yeah, Challenger at $400.
Pro Dry is not realistically priced at $1,200.
Yeah.
And this is not inexpensive. This is $399.99 jacket, $399.99
it's $800
bib.
But
your life expectancy, I mean, the Challenger suit, the Challenger suit that I'm wearing is in its 4th year of very hard use.
Yeah.
I have not gotten wet yet.
No.
So, and I have no tears or anything. So this is going to
it's
this is going to outlast that. It's got the fully adjustable.
What do you think, Nick?
You got a question here. Is this something you can wear in the summertime?
This one you can. It's gonna.
Well, I mean, depends how hot it is.
It's gonna be hot, but
I don't like to get wet.
I don't like that's a good question, because what the hell do you wear in the summertime? And
I wear my Challenger.
You talk to guys. Well, I have this.
I would wear this
light thing, but if it doesn't keep you dry, what the hell?
I would wear a Pro Dry if I had.
A lot of guys do go out and buy cheap rain gear for the summer, and they're getting wet.
Well, I don't understand that. I mean, I'm not gonna leave a.
I would wear this
Challenger at home. Nick, wear some kind of poncho or something.
I would wear this in the summertime for those thunderstorms. You're not going to sweat. I mean, you're going to sweat no matter what, especially in dead nut summer. But you're not going to be like uncomfortable. It's going to be like George says. It's nice. It's a great, nice, airy feel, and it's an investment.
Freaking nice
that you're going to make and you're going to have for a while. George can't screw shit up in 4 years. That's pretty damn good.
I take care of my stuff.
I'm liking that camo.
Camo's sweet, isn't it? So that's that.
Yeah, that camo's the deal there. That's called Woodland.
And
they have clothing to go with it.
They have some really nice clothing that just came out and some new prints. They got a really cool bass print.
Well, this is their Solar Tech.
This is Solar Tech.
SPF 50. And then they got the awesome
logo in the back.
I think that's cool.
That is cool.
The hat now?
So then G Loomis came out with this really cool leather logo, fish logo. It's a fish stamped out, or a leather stamped fish. So I don't know if you can see that. And then the camo is like a really cool camo. That's a new G Loomis hat. And Shimano came out with G Loomis, while we're while we're with G Loomis, they have a really cool low hit hat.
There's actually about 4 or 5 new Loomis hats.
Then they got these nice tees, a nice comfortable tee.
There's 2 different tees.
Nice material, very comfortable material. This is
super soft material.
Yeah.
There's 2 different tees.
And then this one here, I think you guys just saw this one go on. This one just went up on.
This is part of the CX line.
This is the CX. That's a really cool shirt with that.
It's called the line shirt, fish line shirt.
Yeah, fish line. You know, it got some cool designs out there. So me and George are making some changes, making some moves. Here's some Shimano. Here's some new Shimano that just came out. Nice Shimano hat with a really cool.
This is a G Loomis shirt.
G Loomis,
the other G Loomis shirt.
Yep, that's the camo color fish on there. Just real simple. That's what they went with. Simple, nothing gaudy, but nice and simple. Letting people know what you're about, what you do.
There's like five or 6 new Shimano hats. There's 3 or 4 new G Loomis hats. There's 2 new G Loomis tees, 2 new Shimano tees. There's new solar shirt. It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot in Shimano and G Loomis.
And then also in Sims, we have these cool largemouth and smallmouth prints that we really liked. Again, on a tech shirt.
SPF 30.
SPF 30.
SPF 30.
You know, that's something we should talk about real quick.
Better hurry up.
Yep, we're gonna get real quick on this. This is stuff you should wear, man. This anything you should wear should be getting this sun off you guys. I mean, think about it. You see it on TV with one show, that guy, what's his name, George?
The one guy that I know
that lathers all up with the stuff.
The one guy I know is called Mark Davis from Big Water Adventures. He's had skin cancer. He wears so much sun block that his skin is, the white nose?
Yeah.
His whole face is white.
Yeah, it is. So he wears this stuff hardcore, and he talks about
there's different if you look at the tags, there's different, like this is an SPF 30, so this 50. Is average. Then if you go up to the, like in Sims, if you go up to their solar guard or sun guard, it's SPF 50, which is above average. And
look at that, Nick, anti-odor. George can wear this.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I don't have anything else for you, Mike.
Well,
I pretty much ran through my little cheat sheet here, and
here, feel that right there. Put your finger. Thanks.
Feel that? Gotcha.
I got you.
Let's shut her down.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. Thanks everybody for stopping by tonight. Mike Bob, how are you, buddy? Thanks so much, pal. Fried like bacon today. Absolutely, man. You got to take care of yourself, bro. Get some of the 30, some of the 50. Roland Barker, thanks so much for stopping by. John Henning, thank you, pal. Love all your comments, as always.
Put your sunscreen
Jason
on.
Jason Basta, thank you, brother.
Put your sunscreen
Mike Barr,
on.
Nate Summers, and all the guys coming over from YouTube. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. We're going to stream YouTube all the time from here on out. So tell your friends. St. Cress, how are you, man? Thank you so much for stopping by. Gary Kalick, hope you're home and safe. But it was a good show. So
send it, Bobby.
We're good. You're good. Everybody's good. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down low and I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat with chills.